Hello for the first Sunday of Lent. Using all three readings, Genesis 2, Romans 5, and the main one, Matthew 4, 1 to 11. It deals with the temptation of Christ, or my true or false self. Jesus is led by the Spirit of God, into the desert and stayed there for 40 days and 40 nights, right? That's the story. And the Spirit is God. But when Jesus in this story goes in the desert, that's the last time you hear about God. It's all about Jesus and the devil. Well, let me give you a new twist to this story. Just sort of forget everything you think about the devil or Satan or whatever, and substitute for devil evil self, my false self. And so Jesus is led into the desert for 40 days and 40 nights, and he encounters his false self and his temptations of being not who he really was and what he was to do in life, but his false self. And the devil helps him to be enticed toward his false self. Well, the first temptation, the devil says, take life easy. You're out here and with your power, you can take this stone here and change it into bread. Or if you're thirsty out here, you can take this stone and change it into a Bud Light, cool, clear beer. Take the easy way. You don't have to go into what you think might be planned for you. That's what you ought to be. Enjoy life and take it easy. First temptation, no. Second temptation, well, hey, you're interesting. You can move people. And he takes him up to the parapet of the temple and says, well, throw yourself down, and all the people will see you coming down before you hit the bottom of the ground. All your angels will come and hold you up. They'll say, my God, Jesus, you are special. No. That's not what I'm not to do. I'm not here to show and get power or get praise or you're unbelievable. My Father has sent me to do something else, I think. And the third, he said, I might be able to be a great leader. And of all these kingdoms, not just here and now in the Jerusalem area, but in the whole world, in the history of the world. Hitler thought he could be something like that with the Third Reich, but look what happened to him. Nero thought he could be like that with the Roman Empire, and look what happened to that. But you can be the king of all time and all places, from the beginning of the world to the end of the world, if you just fall down and adore this. Adore me. Get away, false self. Get out of here, Satan, the evil one. That's sort of interesting. A lot of, I think, great people think along the lines, of course, that this story represents the false self. Just like in the book of Genesis, the Adam and Eve story, Adam and Eve represent all human beings, past, present, and future, the beginning. And it tries to explain the evil in the garden because of us, from the beginning to the end too. Another story. But these three temptations of Jesus, You have Jesus, the historical character, who is the man or the boy or the child from Nazareth, a full human being, a historical person. And you have Jesus, who was sent by his heavenly Father, who is God, a divine person, and they are the same. And this Jesus is historical reality of what he came here to do. And he came here to be his true self and not the false self that the story of the evil one or the devil tempts him to do. And he goes out after 40 days and he begins that mission. He takes on the tough part of life because of his true self, Jesus from Nazareth, the Son of God. But during these 40 days of Lent, I sort of say, I think the church is, here's a time for us to look into our true self. Not our, or just find our, and look into our false self too. And see where I am not tuned into being and doing what God has called me to do. So where is the true self of me, Larry Hehman? Or where is the false self of me, Larry Hehman? And I'm to take those and try to move away from the false self to the true self that God has created in his own image and likeness. And we have these 40 days to do it. That's Lent. That's the end of the homily. But let me ask you a question. As far as 40 days and 40 nights, well, how do we get these 40 days and 40 nights? If you count the days from Ash Wednesday to Easter Sunday, what do you get? You get 46 days. Wow. Well, it takes 6 from 46, and you get 40 days. You take the 6 Sundays we don't consider Lent. Why? Well, because Christ rose from the dead on a Sunday, and how could you do penance on little Easters? So the church has called all Sundays, 52 of the year, little Easters. Sort of like what we used to do. You ought to do penance on Friday. Every Friday, all year, because Christ died on a Friday. And that was so good and so important. Do a little penance every Friday. Well, we don't do that anymore, but we certainly do every Sunday. Every Sunday is a little Easter. So those 40 days and those 40 nights, all the days until Easter Sunday, wind up to be 40. And we try to zero in on who or what is my true self and who or what is my false self and the difference. And we try to move in the direction of my true self. Jesus came out of the desert and totally moved in the direction of his true self, the Son of God, who is to suffer torment and death for the salvation of the world, and rose again on Easter Sunday. And he was totally his true self without suffering, this Jesus from Nazareth, on Sunday and forever, King of the universe. Take these 40 days, not on Sunday, take these 40 days now, and try to zero in on your true self or your false self. That's enough for today's homily with the extra 2-minute epilogue. Have a good day.